Word is CeeDee Lamb is maybe waiting on JJ to get his deal done so he can one-up JJ. Now, both these guys are going to get paid bank, and either one could get paid more than the other. Let's not pretend like JJ is guaranteed the number one money out of all the wide receivers if you line these two guys up. This guy's going number one, number two overall in fantasy football drafts walking into 2024, and fantasy doesn't dictate real life, but JJ and Lamb are both equally important to their teams. Now, Lamb has a problem because it almost doesn't matter what he wants. Jerry Jones is absolutely crapping the bed this offseason. And who knows what the hell he's even willing to do right now. I bet you what he's willing to do tomorrow changes from what he'd do today, changes from what he'd do a month from now. I think Dak Prescott, there's no shot in hell he gets signed today, but maybe tomorrow he's guaranteed to get an extension. This is Jerry's world is wild. It's bizarro world. And so some of this, if it's being leaned upon Lamb's camp and Jerry Jones to get done so that JJ can get done, we might not have anybody get a contract by the end of the offseason. So I don't know what's in store for these two guys, but what I do know is these contracts, CeeDee Lamb and JJ, will determine what happens next with a couple other wide receivers downstream. So it's all interconnected. Let's talk about the value of Lamb. Let's talk about the value of JJ. Honestly, from a dynasty perspective, if Dak is not in Dallas, I'm a little bit worried about both of them. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
I don't know what is going to happen between Lamb and JJ, this race to be, second paid so you can be number one paid in the National Football League. Because if Lamb, according to this report, Lamb is okay with waiting on a contract or on contract talks, wanting to wait and see what JJ does with his deal per ESPN Fowler. I don't know that this is even all that accurate, to be honest with you. I'm not trying to suggest that this is cap entirely, but I think Lamb doesn't have control of this. I think Jerry Jones is literally the one causing the delay and the hang-up, because he's made it abundantly clear several times that he's worried about 2024. Before he worries about 2025, he's going to worry about 2024. See what they got. And in some ways, a Dak Prescott contract, changing up his deal, he's getting paid $55 million this year. Giving him an extension and reworking that $55 million is what's going to open the door to a CeeDee Lamb contract extension. So this can't even, it could. Money can be moved around in many ways, but the likelihood of a Lamb deal before a Dak deal at one point during the offseason seemed unlikely because of the money, because of the finances. So who the hell knows what's going to happen, to be honest with you. Wouldn't surprise me in the very least if this guy got his deal today, tomorrow, or if Dak didn't get extended or did get extended. But Dak getting extended sure makes it a lot easier for the Cowboys to extend Lamb and open up some money, because Dak's getting paid a whopping $55 million. We talked about this yesterday, that Dak really, the ball's in Dak's court. He has all of the leverage because Dak Prescott is getting $55 million this year for 2024. And the franchise tag amount for quarterbacks, I believe, is around 38 mil. So he's living large. This number is bigger than the per year salary he would get on a new deal. So he could literally take this into the 2025 season without getting any sort of contract and get paid probably something around 53 to 54 million. I imagine the money is going to go up next year, right? He's going to get that amount per year next year instead of 50. So he waits. He probably gets $2, $3, $4 more million per season just by waiting until next year. And he's sitting on $55 million this year. It's costing him nothing to wait. In fact, it's costing him money probably to sign early. So the ball is in Dak's court entirely. The only thing about Dak is Dak has made it very, very apparent that he doesn't really care about the money. We know he does. Cousins said the same thing. Of course they care about the money. He said he'd play for free. Like, of course he's not going to play for free. I said that in my last live stream because he said that. And we shot that idea down. That concept is ridiculous to even process. But a couple people are like, he wouldn't play for free. I know he won't play for free. He's saying he would, saying, I don't care about being the highest paid player. I play for free, but give me $50 million. Everyone knows that's what he's going to say. And Kirk Cousins says he's not trying to reset the market or be the highest paid player. It's not about the money. It's about the fit. And then he's getting, a massive, huge, whopping contract. No one's saying they're taking even a discount. But would Dak take maybe a deal with the Cowboys at $50 million per season instead of waiting to next year, taking the risk, maybe getting hurt, et cetera, and getting 53 a year? Yeah, maybe. But Dak is probably pretty upset that he's not getting his offer by Jerry right now, and Jerry's making it feel to Dak kind of like Cousins was made feel by the Vikings every offseason, that they don't know if they want to believe in him. Dak doesn't feel that the Cowboys believe in him because Jerry doesn't want to extend him. Not to mention you come out of a very embarrassing playoff loss, right, from last year, and the Dallas Cowboys lose this game right here against the Green Bay Packers. Whoops. Wrong one there, Smitty. Grab this right here. They walk out of this embarrassing loss against the Green Bay Packers, and Jerry walks out and says, you know what? We might need to rethink everything. Maybe we need to pull the plug. Maybe we need to start over. Maybe we need to blow it up. Maybe we need to look at every single piece of this offense. And since that moment in time, Dak has taken heat in the media. Dak has taken heat by Jerry. Dak has taken heat by everybody when it's not Dak's fault. Dak was a top 5 quarterback all season long. And Dak didn't fold necessarily. It's that Dak isn't fully supported by a team and an owner and an organization that won't put an elite running back in the backfield. And McCarthy last year, I want to run the damn ball. We like Pollard a lot. I'm not saying that we didn't take laps. I specifically taking a lap on the Pollard prediction last year. But Pollard didn't deliver. And so you think learning from that, talking about it, McCarthy always saying we want to run the damn ball. We need something, heavy duty between the tackles. Let's get back to the old Zeke Elliott days, not the Zeke Elliott days of the now, which they're doing, which is ridiculous. Zeke Elliott's an old man behind a line that's not going to be able to get him more than 3.2, 3.4 yards per carry. But they need to get back to the old Zeke Elliott days, meaning bring in at least a Braylon Allen. Bring in some sort of running back between the tackles. Trey Benson, Braylon Allen, they don't do any of that. Bring in Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry sat by the phone. He was sitting there in the kitchen with his mom stirring a pot of meatloaf stew, just waiting for the phone to ring. Derrick Henry waiting. Derrick Henry said he didn't even get a tweet. Not a DM, not a Snapchat, not a text message, not a phone call, not a collect call. Nothing came out of the Jerry Jones camp in the direction of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's made it abundantly clear that's who he thought was the best fit. He says now, oh yeah, the Ravens are the best fit for me now. And it is probably the best fit. And I think he probably does truly believe that now because he's welcomed there. He's loved there. He probably says, thank God I didn't go with my instinct of going to Dallas. But I almost guarantee you, based on the way that Henry's worded it in the past, not now, but right when it all went down and the Ravens brought him in and he was kind of like crapping on the Cowboys saying they didn't even call me. I thought it was a perfect fit. It was where Henry would go. Henry would have went to Dallas if Jerry had picked up the phone and said, hey, we can actually afford running back money. Don't say they can't afford it. It's about money, Smitty. Running backs get paid nothing. Not to mention reworking Dak's deal opens up the door easily to get a Lamb and a Derrick Henry deal done. So you might want to stop there before you continue to type, Clifford, on the keyboard there, pal. This right here is a very, very important part of this offseason, and it's very important what happens here, how it transcends into the future years of fantasy football. Dak Prescott, like I said, not a 100% necessity to get a Lamb deal done, but a very key component to ushering it along quickly and having Dallas feel comfortable spending the amount of money they got to spend on CeeDee Lamb, because they freed up money by actually inking Dak Prescott to a long-term contract. All this impacts so many other pieces of fantasy football. Lamb's dynasty value is tied to whether Dak Prescott is in Dallas. And guess what Dak doesn't have? Dak Prescott has a no trade clause. He can't be traded unless he approves it. And I think he'd approve just about anything right now if it paid him money. If Dak was going to go, let's say, to LV right now in a big fat offer that gets him a contract, because any trade on a player in this situation, a franchise tag player or a player on their last year, a player that could be lost forever, right? If you traded for that player but didn't give him a contract, no team's making that deal and announcing the deal and executing the deal without a contract in parallel being worked out behind the scenes. So Dak would waive his no trade clause to go to LV or wherever. If they were going to give him $50 million per year, then he'd say, yeah, I'll waive my trade clause to go play for a team that believes in me, that wants to pay me hard-earned, bling $50 million a year money. So he's got a no-trade clause, okay? No trade. Dak also has a no franchise tag. So no franchise tag clause, no trade clause. This guy's as good as gone next year. If he ends up playing out the year and plays amazingly, he, like Kirk Cousins, will go dance and be wined and dined by other teams, and someone like LV is going to come along and say, you've been our first choice. We've been drooling over the idea of getting you on board here. Dallas doesn't know what they have. Dallas didn't become your suitor last year. They made you play on your last final deal to prove yourself. You proved it, and now they want you back. We'll take you. We'll pay you more. We'll pay you $54 million a year. Dak, come play for the Las Vegas Raiders and throw footballs to Bowers and Adams if he's still there, and all that. All this goodness. Zamir White has this breakout year, hopefully in 2024. So in 2025, it's a much more attractive run game. Dak Prescott is in the driver's seat. And the problem with that, and I'm not saying he doesn't sign, I still give it like 50-50 that Jerry just surprises us, even though he said, I'm going to wait and play 2024 out. And then the next minute he says, you don't think I'm working on a deal through the wee hours of the night? It's like he's back and forth. So there's still a 50-50 chance that Dak gets his deal, right? For sure. Like I don't think that Jerry's not capable of waking up tomorrow and giving him his contract extension. But Dak's in the driver's seat because Dak doesn't need the deal. Dak's playing on $55 million this year. He's not losing anything by playing this year out. He's only probably gaining. Even if he got hurt, let's say Dak suffered torn meniscus. He was out for half the year, didn't even finish the season. Kirk Cousins, off a torn Achilles, just signed a monster 100-plus mega guaranteed contract. You don't think Dak Prescott, even injured, would get a big bag? He would. Quarterbacks would. Quarterbacks get the benefit of the doubt on some sort of injury like that. Dak is more than proven enough for a team to say, well, he got hurt, he got hit in the knee. I don't really fault him for that. Let's go ahead and sign him to a big fat contract. Dak is literally in the driver's seat. And my whole thing here, my whole concern is that CeeDee Lamb's dynasty value's in flux. If he doesn't have Dak Prescott, what does he have? Look at JJ's fall from grace. Number 1 overall. Now he's 6, 7, 8 overall. JJ McCarthy's committed to the long term now that they pulled him into this situation. And JJ's still going number 6, 7, 8 in redraft leagues. I bet you in Dynasty he takes a little bit of an uptick And I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy is going to absolutely bust, but he's no Kirk Cousins in terms of volume and what he'll replicate on the field, and there's a lot of mouths to feed. I'm definitely afraid of what J.J.'s, how he can reach his ceiling value ever again. And CeeDee Lamb, with Dak, we know what we have. With Dak, CeeDee Lamb is a top 1, 2, or 3 overall wide receiver. With McCarthy, CeeDee Lamb is a top 1, 2, 3 overall wide receiver. If Dak is gone, McCarthy's probably gone. Neither one of them have been extended. Both McCarthy and Dak have been sent to the pasture and essentially told, play one more year out there, and then maybe, if you both deliver, we'll open up the gates, let you back in, and give you a long-term deal. But neither one of them is going to want to return to a team that doesn't believe in them. Well, quite possibly might not want to return to a team that doesn't believe in them. Maybe they have so much fun and they love their teammates, they love their players, so much that they both want to return. It's tough to fully know. But Lamb without Dak is a fear that all of you should have. Lamb without Dak is an unknown that puts CeeDee Lamb nowhere near wide receiver 1, 2, or 3 with the unknowns. Shedeur Sanders? Maybe, but how do they get that pick? You think Dak and Lamb are going to allow this team to be anywhere near the 1.1 overall NFL draft selection in 2025? Does anybody think the Dallas Cowboys will be anywhere near the 1 overall pick? The answer is no. I don't care if they crap the bed again. They're still no lower than 15, 16, 17, 18 overall. This is still a very potent offense, even if they fold in the playoffs, which is not Dak's fault entirely. It is a lot to do with the surrounding pieces that help support Dak. So now you got a 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 overall pick that you got to turn into the 1.1 in the 2025 NFL draft in order to get Shedeur Sanders. And the team that maybe holds that, the Raiders or the Giants, you think they're going to give up the 1.1 for anything? They might not. They might not. There might be zero chance for the Dallas Cowboys to get Shedeur Sanders. So why do people keep saying, oh, they don't need Dak there, let's go after Sanders next year? As if it's that easy to go get Sanders. Like it'll be something that they could just walk right into and say, give me him. No, this might be the worst downfall at quarterback in terms of the production to the elite wide receiver that's going 1, 2, or 3 in fantasy football drafts. This might be the worst unraveling of production we've seen in a long time. We don't want this. We are hoping for a Dak Prescott contract. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Okay, that's all the news on CeeDee Lamb. There is so much, though, tied to, as we always talk about constantly on this show, in terms of Brandon Aiyuk, who is holding out right now. And Brandon Aiyuk is very much tied to the contract that Lamb and JJ get, because it doesn't appear like the Niners are going to sign Aiyuk before one of these guys, if not both of them, get their extension. And while he's no Lamb, while he's no JJ, while he's even not to be considered even on the level of playing field that A.J. Brown is, they're all interconnected. JJ and Lamb are at the top, and this web that goes down that's interconnected to everybody, okay, as soon as these players go up, they drag this web up with them. Aiyuk is attached. Okay, maybe AJB is higher than him, of course. Maybe St. Brown is higher than him. No doubt about it. But it's still all attached to the web, and these other players, and even like a Higgins. Why does my pen have to go out immediately in the middle of some important... There we go. We might have a little bit left. Higgins. You can't even read that. You can't even read that. Can we get just a little bit more? Can we get just a little bit more out of this? Higgins. They're all connected. Lamb and JJ and AJ Brown. It all drags the interconnected web of contract values up. So Aiyuk goes up slightly every time one of these deals happens. And I keep hearing from people over and over, when St. Brown got his deal, I said this kills the idea of Aiyuk getting a contract. You know what people said to me? Oh, Smitty. Oh, Smitty's so stupid. He doesn't know ball. He doesn't know ball because nobody thinks St. Brown is Aiyuk and Aiyuk is St. Brown. Oh, A.J. Brown gets his $84 million guaranteed. Oh, Smitty don't know ball. Who said that A.J. Brown is Brandon Aiyuk? That is a casual speaking. Anybody that says that is an absolute casual. A.J. Brown's value 1,000% affects Brandon Aiyuk's value. Doesn't mean he's getting the same amount, but it affects his mentals. He thinks he's worth more the moment A.J. Brown gets $84 million. The moment the guaranteed money for wide receivers gets reestablished, everybody below gets reestablished. How hard is this to understand? I don't understand why people don't understand this. And not to mention, even though everybody said, hey, Smitty, St. Brown isn't Aiyuk. Aiyuk can't get St. Brown money. He is now saying, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what I think. In his mind, he now wants St. Brown money. It's been admitted as such. All the new reports say the baseline for his contract now is St. Brown's money. So you can say whatever you want about St. Brown being better than Aiyuk, A.J. Brown being better than Aiyuk. This guy, Aiyuk, now wants St. Brown money because St. Brown got his bag and everything goes up. It's all interconnected. And anybody that doesn't understand that doesn't know ball, doesn't know contracts, doesn't know how it works. This has been going on since the beginning of time. Okay? And it's all the same every offseason. And the way people break this down is ridiculous. And the way the Niners approach this is ridiculous. Let's wait and let all these guys increase the money and drag this web up continuously. You could have got Aiyuk on a $55 million guaranteed deal right when Ridley was signing his deal. You could have got Aiyuk at probably something around a little lower than St. Brown when St. Brown signed his deal. Now that A.J. Brown has won up St. Brown, now St. Brown's deal is more achievable for Aiyuk because it's no longer the top contract. That's the way it works. If two more, let's say Higgins got St. Brown money. I'm not saying he will. He won't. The Bengals don't even care. They're just saying play on your franchise tag. We don't care. They don't want it. They don't want to overpay for Higgins. They're smart about it. But if Higgins got even remotely close, Aiyuk's value goes up again. Even just on Higgins getting money that makes Aiyuk say, I'm better than Higgins, I'm going up a little bit more. These guys are not settling. It's wild the way people break down contracts. They don't know what they're talking about. Dial into the show.
Live from the Fantasy Football Show.
Call into the show.
Call into the show. The Attic.shop phone lines. Dial in, and go get that apparel at the Attic.shop, baby. Do it live. Unbelievable the way people break this down. Smitty, A.J. Brown has nothing to do with Brandon Aiyuk. And Smitty, A.J. Brown and CeeDee Lamb aren't getting the same money. People don't know what they're talking about. It's so wild. It's so wild. Ray G in the building. Ray G, appreciate you being here, pal. Ray G to the freaking moon. Love my boy Ray G. Ray G's a unicorn, by the way. Thomas in the building. Appreciate you. File on in. Derek Lincoln in the building. Lamb is not as good as who, John? As who? Lamb is not as good as who? You don't even say. And if you're saying he's not as good as JJ, I mean, I'm okay with that take, but they're pretty damn close, John. They're pretty damn close. Space Ricky in the building. Appreciate you, Space Ricky, being here. Travis in the building. What's up, Travis? Appreciate you. They don't make them pens like they used to, says Donnie. They definitely come with a little less ink than they used to. It's kind of like a bag of potato chips, half of it's air. I feel like these pens do come with like, they're loaded with like this much ink now instead of being all the way up. It's actually wild. I go through these like crazy. Also, I got these. So when I'm in Vegas, I'll be in Vegas June 28 and June 29 at Circa Hotel and Casino. I've got all my decal orders and such coming in. This one right here, I've got these decals in. These are square decals. I've got the Smitty bunch decals in. Look at these. These are amazing. These Smitty bunch decals. And then we got the circular stickers and decals right there. So I'm ordering all that so that when we get there, I'll be handing that stuff out like mad. What's going on, James Arthur from Texas? What can I do for you, kind sir?
Hey, how you doing, Smitty? I hope you're doing good.
I'm good. Thank you, Rock Out. What can I do for you?
I'm wondering, so the Cowboys, they need to pay Dak, they need to pay Lamb, and then they're going to need to pay Parsons. Do you think Trayvon Diggs gets left out of all this money and ends up going to a new team once his contract's up? Because I'm taking pay all four of those guys.
I mean, everybody says that. How can they pay all? How can they? They always do, bro. Not to mention, if you wait, you know, the things get a lot better each year you move through and push through all of it, you know, or they can. Once they redo Dak's deal, if they do, that is the gateway to getting Lamb and Parsons and everything buttoned up by at least this time next offseason, is that Dak Prescott deal. Things get a lot easier. If they try and not reconstruct Dak's or give Dak an extension, then they can't. You know, it's going to be really hard. But we'll find out. We'll find out. I mean, it's certainly difficult for some of these teams like the Niners. It's going to be difficult to sign Brock Purdy, to keep Debo, to keep Aiyuk, especially to sign Aiyuk and then keep him. That's why maybe Debo still gets traded. You know, there's still that possibility they get that out of the way now. And so when they walk into next offseason, they're able to tackle it a little differently. But that's why I think we're still going to hear whispers about a wide receiver trade out of San Francisco. Remember, they drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round. This is not over yet.
I've been drafting Pearsall and best ball, just hoping, you know, something happens.
Yeah, there's posturing involved. There's posturing involved. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to just be like, yeah, we're still looking to trade Debo or Aiyuk if anybody's out there. Like, they're definitely like, yeah, we're no longer trading them. They're off the market. They're winners. We're going to win a Super Bowl. Is anybody going to come knocking for Debo or Aiyuk? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. That's the approach that the Niners are going to take. But I will say this. The Niners are not going to fold and get rid of him cheaply at all. There's zero chance that the Niners fold and just send them packing. They'd rather win a championship, you know, and then worry about it later. They're not getting rid of Debo or Aiyuk for pennies on the dollar. So that does make a trade hard to imagine, but it's not unlikely. But I do think we hear rumors about it. Because think about it. What is the next step for Brandon Aiyuk? Request a trade. Like that is the next step for Brandon Aiyuk. There's no, he's just going to sit there and wait until August. Like, they clearly are not rushing to sign him. The Niners, he says he now wants St. Brown's deal. St. Brown got a massive contract that is going to be very hard. Here's St. Brown's deal. St. Brown got a 4-year, $30 million per season, 16.5 signing bonus, 34 guaranteed at signing, total guarantee of $77 million. This is now the baseline of Brandon Aiyuk's deal, according to Brandon Aiyuk's camp. Guess what was not the baseline of Brandon Aiyuk's deal 2-3 months ago? That deal. That deal wasn't remotely close to the expectation level that Brandon Aiyuk's camp had, which is why the Niners are awful at the offseason. They're awful. They're pathetic in the offseason. It's embarrassing. Like what? Like have a Niner fan call in and tell me I'm wrong. I'm not saying you guys don't have one of the top 4 teams in the National Football League talent-wise, from top to bottom. I'm not even saying you don't have the best or one of the best offensive coordinators in your head coach, Kyle Shanahan, in the National Football League in the last 10 years. So before you think I'm a Niner hater, Debo's been on the Moo Man list. I love Brandon Aiyuk. He's from ASU. I'm the one that told Niner fans you should draft Brandon Aiyuk. I went into Rogers Live before anybody even heard his name and said, draft Aiyuk, draft Aiyuk. I went into Rogers Live and said, draft McConkey or Pearsall, and they drafted Pearsall. I'm not a Niner hater by any means. I am a Smitty is a hater of the Niner way in the offseason. And I'm definitely not a Kyle Shanahan's a good head coach. He's an amazing offensive coordinator that gets it done most of the time because of that and is overshadowing all of his deficiencies. But the Niners are garbage in the offseason. They sit on their hands and they're watching Aiyuk get priced out of a deal. There's no world I can imagine the Niners paying Aiyuk what he's asking now. And everyone's going to blame it on Aiyuk. It's not Aiyuk's fault. He's been watching the market go up. It's madness. I don't know why I'm even yelling about that because you asked me something different. But what did you ask me?
Yeah, Cowboys.
Cowboys
Left out of the deal.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, so it's interconnected. So when Lamb gets this deal or JJ gets this deal, it's over. There's no signing Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk will bank on himself. He will bank on himself. He will go into the season and try and ball out and try and, figure this thing out for himself. Like, hey, let me go get my bag. I don't think the Niners would tag him. They could. I don't think they would. The Niners don't necessarily use the tag like other teams. Like it's not like, but it's possible. But Aiyuk is.
I feel like they're going to be forced to.
You what?
I feel like they're going to be forced to tag him because, I get the idea of trading him, but they got a Super Bowl team. They got a team that just went there last year and just kind of gave up on that.
They probably tag him to trade him though, so like it won't penalize Aiyuk. It maybe piss him off initially, but they'll tag him to hold him and tag and trade him. The only risk with that though is if they can't get rid of him. Like if everyone goes, look, I like Aiyuk, but this guy's ridiculous with his request. In 2025 offseason, he might want $35 million. Like everyone's going to laugh at that now, but next offseason, that number is going to be different to us. Next offseason, quarterbacks aren't getting 52, 53. They're getting 56, 57. Next offseason, running backs aren't getting 12 or 13. They're getting 10. running or the same.
Yeah.
5 years from now, $12 million for a running back, it's going to be $12 million. 10 years from now, it's going to be $12 million. Soon, everyone watching is making more than running backs per season. But anyway, I don't know that there's any way Aiyuk is going to meet more than halfway, and I don't think the Niners are even visible from the halfway point. I think if you walked into a room, let's say the football field was the meeting ground, okay? 50-yard line was the midfield. That was midway. I believe that when Ridley signed his deal, they could have got within 10 yards of each other, and one of them would just had to have folded, right? No one's crossing the 50. They're both kind of far apart. I believe right now, Aiyuk would go to the middle of the field, and I believe the Niners are still in at the 5-yard line. There's no way they want to pay him $30 million a year. Maybe they surprise me.
I think the Patriots need to come out and just grab one of the guys, either Debo, Aiyuk, or Higgins.
Who?
Because they got there. The Patriots. They got no one at receiver.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't hate the idea of that for New England, but I don't know that. Yeah, I'd rather have Washington, give JD 5 Debo Samuel. Buffalo, go give Josh Allen Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel's the more attractive. Here's the weird thing. This is the rub. is that Aiyuk is the one that's going to request the trade. Debo's the more likely player to get dealt because this guy costs too much money now. He's going to have a really big rude awakening if he tests the waters next year. He plays on his 1-year deal, doesn't even have the volume. And the Niners are a little bit dirty with how they do their players when they're, and we've even heard this from former players that have come on the Quad Box on the Niner live stream that we do over on Raj's channel. We've actually had like a Niner come on, former Niner player, and talk about how a player will be ready to get an incentive and they'll take the player off the field. Like the Niners would, I could see the Niners doing Aiyuk dirty in a way of, okay, we're going to put Ricky Pearsall out more. This guy's banking on himself and he's not going to get the targets that he needs. I'm not saying it'll be blatant, but I just know we've seen that before. If you're a Niner fan, you understand what I'm saying because there have been plenty of times where guys have not hit incentives and they'll literally pull a player off the field. I think if this guy banks on himself, it's a risky territory for him. He might have a rude awakening if he walks out of the season not having as productive of a year as he could have because they draft Ricky Pearsall and they start like spreading the ball around more. He might not be able to get remotely close to what he thinks he's going to get. And that at the end of the day, he's just, gets screwed out of everything. He probably will fold to a degree. But the Niners, the question is, will the Niners even come remotely close to midway and then just let him, dive over and fold to a significant degree? I don't know. I don't know what's folding for Aiyuk taking $25 million. I think if the Niners would pay him $25 million and he'd accept it with some good incentives, it would be a win for Aiyuk. But I think Aiyuk wants $30 million. I don't know that Aiyuk is going to fold below 29. And I don't know if the Niners are even remotely close to willing or even financially set up to give him $29 million a year. So, there you go. Hey, Hero you, Smitty, I'm a Niner fan. What are you talking about? They aren't polling players. Bro, I've had former Niner players. One was a future potential Hall of Famer talk about this on the show. Okay, so you don't know what you're talking about, but that's okay. There have been plenty of times the Niners have done that. This coming from Niner players, bro. Not me, not you, Hero. You don't know. Travis, you're live. Hang tight, James.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
On the Aiyuk thing, too, another thing, I don't know, maybe you might have said it. I don't know how many landing spots there are left for him for a team that's going to, because anyone who gets him, like you said, is going to sign a contract, just like with Dak. When these players get moved, they work out the contract beforehand and make sure they're ready to sign. And Aiyuk is going to get overpaid for the market, technically speaking. And, he wants $30 million, even if he gets 26, 27, that might be a little bit of an overpay for him. He's great. I love him. But how many teams are willing to do that too, on top of giving up significant return?
Yeah.
Even the Patriots may not do it because they just drafted 2 guys. I'd love it, but they have, 5 or 6 receivers already. Not that they should do it, but, thinking the way teams think, after the draft, it gets tougher. So I think there's a real narrow group of teams that would even do it.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is I feel like, as I said, Aiyuk is going to request the trade. Debo is the more likely to get traded. The moment that A.J. Brown's monster contract was dropped on the NFL world, and especially the Niners, on the doorstep of the Niners and every other team that was potentially looking to maybe extend a wide receiver like T. Higgins, even Lamb and JJ, if those deals were going to potentially somehow get done, like really, really close to the kickoff of the draft or anything like that. And I don't think that JJ or Lamb were, but this was a move that really crapped right on the Niners' doorstep. But announcing this 12 minutes before kickoff of the NFL draft was just pure chess move. And the moment that happened, the trading of Brandon Aiyuk almost went out the window unless he resets his expectation to 25, 26 million a year. Even 27. I think he could get 27. Could I see him getting 28? Yeah. I guess I could see him getting 28. At the end of the day, it's the guaranteed money, though. I don't think any team's remotely close to giving him 84 million guaranteed. I don't think a team's remotely close to giving him even 10 million less than that. It'd probably be around 70, I think, at this point. And if a team's willing to pay that, he's willing to say, you know, forget it. I'm just banking on myself here. Let's put some incentives in there that will help me feel like I won. That's the way to get a player to fold. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean you go to Aiyuk and you say, look, we can't get you what you want. We can't. But we can give you incentives that are really lofty. But if you believe in yourself and we believe in you, you're going to get the money that you're saying that we're not giving you in this contract. So if you get 1,500 yards, we'll give you an extra $500,000. You get 13 touchdowns, we'll give you an extra $500,000. We win a Super Bowl, we'll give you an extra $500,000. These are the kind of deals and incentives that make players also play out of their mind. So maybe that's how this bridge gets gap between the Niners and Aiyuk. Maybe this is how the bridge gets gap between whatever team may trade for Aiyuk. But in general, very loosely talking here, Aiyuk is less attractive to trade than Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel hits the Niners' pocketbook a little differently, but at the end of the day, they got to make room for 3 years down the road. They're not so much worried about the hit they take dead cap-wise in Deebo this year and next year. They're worried about what is happening with the Brock Purdy deal. How does the landscape look 3 and 4 years from now? The Niners are not traditionally a team that likes to kick the can down the road like some other teams. They really like to button it up and keep it right in front of them. That Trey Lance trade that absolutely mortgaged a lot of their future was kind of almost even like wild for them to do that. But they did it. It didn't work out. Thank God they got Brock Purdy. And, it's a thing of the past. But I think Deebo Samuel, this guy, Aiyuk, may request a trade if there's not significant movement in the next couple of days and weeks. And we've even heard, and this is coming from Raj's page, RSF 49ers, that they're not close on a deal. So Aiyuk's camp will be saying something at some point, I imagine. Even if it's a soft, very loosely based trade request in an interview where it's never really actually executed upon or talked about. So we'll see what happens. But I think Deebo is the more likely trade candidate. And I don't know about New England, like you said. They drafted 2 wide receivers. I don't know that they're even wanting to go after a player right now, spend that kind of money while they're developing. They don't even know what they have when they have it. I think the Buffalo Bills already moved on with Keon Coleman, but it's still an opportunity, a place. And I love Keon Coleman, and I'm going to do another show today on Keon Coleman, so hang tight for that. I also feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of moved on. They drafted Roman Wilson. I don't think they have a big interest in trading for either one of the wide receivers. So it really does come down to some sort of like other party that we haven't really considered too much, like the Washington Commanders. I could see them going after a Deebo. But past that,
Denver, maybe.
Maybe something wild like that.
Outside the box.
Yeah. Past that, I don't know that there's a big market. The whole thing was they need to trade either one before the draft concludes because people want now draft capital for these players. And no one wants to trade. And the Niners don't want to trade for future capital necessarily, but they have put themselves in a box by taking Ricky Pearsall in round 1. So there's a really good chance they do say, you know what, swallow our pride. Let's get rid of Deebo somehow and figure this out. But Deebo's the more attractive player because his contract's controlled. It's not crazy. No. It's very, very affordable, and he is older, but it's affordable. So we'll see what happens. Dallas could be one of those teams that maybe Jerry trades for Deebo. I don't know that the Niners would want to trade him to Dallas, but I will say this about people that say that teams don't want to trade interdivision, or teams don't want to trade to rivals, or teams don't want to trade interconference or anything like that. Like some would say, while it's not interdivision, why would they want to trade to a rival like the Cowboys or interconference or whatever? If you're willing to trade the player and you're not wanting to sign them, you clearly don't necessarily believe in the player as much as everyone's thinking you do. And so are you really? And on top of that, are you not trading with somebody inside your division in your fantasy league? Like, let's put this into real world perspective. You know, I'm not saying fantasy's NFL. I'm just trying to put it in layman's terms here. Are you literally thinking about, this guy's in my division, I don't want to trade with him? You know, that never crosses your mind. You know why it doesn't? Because you're trying to win every trade. If you do a trade that you don't win, if you don't leave your opponent lesser than you found them, then you suck at trading. And that was a horrible trade. Like, that's the objective. I'm not saying it always happens, but you're not making a trade without taking a gamble that you are going to win the trade. It's not an even Steven. Let's shake hands so we can meet back here next week. That's not the way trades work. And so if you make a trade and you get rid of Debo, you better injure that other party in some form that makes you better, or you shouldn't have traded him. So I don't necessarily agree that Dallas would be off the table, because why would they want to trade him to Dallas? You're going to try and win the trade. It's a ridiculous concept to me. Thank you, Rockout. Rockout says the market dictates everything. That is correct. And so that's why, we may see Aiyuk have to see what the market dictates. And if the Niners won't pay, it's gonna be crazy. Decker says, you're the man, live whenever news breaks. Thank you, Decker. Appreciate you. Anything else there, Travis?
Yeah, just the fact that I think, and you mentioned how the 49ers, their window is now, like, I would just play it out and keep Aiyuk and Debo and Pearsall, because the chances you get through a year with everyone staying healthy or slim anyway, and maybe they don't think this way, because teams don't always think this way, but like, their window is, they don't have a 5-year window here. I don't even know if they have a 3-year window, and I would just go for it. And if that so happens that, okay, you don't get something back for Aiyuk and then, but you win a Super Bowl, like you said, that's worth it all.
Yeah,
so,
it's very.
I'm not sure I'd even be shopping them at this point. Getting this close to the season now.
I think
off season or whatever.
I think at the end of the day, again, the Niners are not a team that's going to give him away. The Niners would rather let the wheels fall off, right, or just deal with it the best way they can next offseason, which will not be probably a good way, because they're horrible at the offseason, especially early on. But they're not ones that are going to get pushed around, though. So there's no way they trade Aiyuk or Debo for pennies on the dollar. It has to be a good deal for the Niners. They do make good trades. They really do make good trades. That Christian McCaffrey deal was one of the best trades I've ever seen. And the fact that other teams just sat around and let that happen for a second, a third, and a fourth rounder, look what he's doing to their franchise. Look what he's giving them, opportunities for championships. As soon as McCaffrey's out of there, this team is not a top 2-3 team. They're not making it back to a Super Bowl for a long time as soon as McCaffrey's gone. Unless Garendo becomes the next McCaffrey, which, it's a tall order. I love Garendo, but you have no real shot at being the same team at all. And Brock Purdy's going to get his big fat bag and have, half of the room full. And it's going to be very, very interesting to watch what happens to the value of Brock Purdy in the eyes of like fantasy football worlds and people that are evaluating his numbers and talking about him being a top 5 statistical quarterback. Right now, situation you cannot separate from player. You never can. And right now, Brock Purdy has weapons, and Brock Purdy could have a very good year. He'll probably get paid, but he's got to have everybody stay healthy. But I don't think the Niners trade Debo or Aiyuk cheaply at all. That goes without saying.
I still like the idea. We've talked about it, and someone last week super chatted in about it. About like if it was for someone like Dotson, they got Dotson back in a pick, and Aiyuk goes to Washington to upgrade them, and I think Dotson's still good. So something like that, okay, if I'm the 49ers, I'd do it. But short of getting a player back now, like you said, it's tough to do because the draft is over. But short of that, I don't see how it benefits the 49ers because their window is a short window here. They should be dumping everything into it, like the Rams did. I mean, the Rams were the FM picks, They just went for it and they got their Super Bowl,
The reason I think
could come falling apart soon, but
the reason I think the Washington Commanders, as we said on a couple other shows, is the most likely team, in my opinion, to kind of come out of nowhere for Debo or Aiyuk is because of the Niner ties between their GM Adam Peters and the Niners. So GM Adam Peters came from San Francisco. He's their architect of all their late draft selections. Kittle, Brock Purdy had a heavy hand in.
Right.
So this guy's glory when it comes to talent evaluation. And, you know, Miami Mike, like anybody that's had close ties to the Shanahans and John Lynch, they typically have a better open line for a trade. And I think there's a real possibility there could be some sort of Debo Aiyuk potential talk, especially if Aiyuk does announce that he wants a trade. And maybe a team like the Commanders, because they're trying to build around, JD5 and reuniting these ASU alums, right? JD5 and Aiyuk. I mean, that there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's probably nobody that JD5 would rather have than Aiyuk, to be honest with you, because JD5 wants his boy. Like these guys are
That's
very
a great receiver for him too.
Yeah, they're friends, they're former college, buddies. So this is something that could definitely happen. If the Washington Commanders were willing to overpay slightly, and not to mention, think of it this way: this is where an Aiyuk trade can come into play. Is, let's say the harsh reality is, I'm Aiyuk, okay, and I want 30 mil. You're not getting 30 mil. Yes, I am. No, you're not. I'm not. No, you're not. Okay. Am I getting 30 mil? I'm not getting shit. I'm not getting 30 mil. The moment he realizes that, it's depressing, right? How does he save face? Goes where he feels he's being respected and wanted. And so I think he does maybe decide on a number that he probably doesn't necessarily love in San Francisco, because he's going to play where he wants, going to play with JD5, so there's a possibility that reshapes his acceptance and reality of the situation when he's going somewhere else and, looks at it that way. I think that, again, incentives are a way to cure some of that too, but 28 mil, I think the Washington Commanders would give him 28 million a year. I don't know if the Niners will, but I think the Washington Commanders will. And I think that he would be okay taking that kind of money, going somewhere with a fresh start. Hold on, let me grab this caller here. 609 caller, where are you calling from? What is your name, pal?
Terrence. I'm calling from New Jersey.
Terrence from where?
New Jersey.
What's up, Terrence? What can I do for you?
I just wanted to say this. Oh, let me turn this TV down so I'm not on. Okay, I turned the TV down. I just want to say this. With San Francisco, the real story is what McCaffrey's making. I mean, this guy's just set to get 11 million, and he's making all these contracts for Purdy, now Samuel, and Aiyuk, and he's doing all of the work and getting all these other guys contracts. Are they going to renegotiate and give him a little bit more money?
Well, we've talked about this on other shows. It's a great.
Oh, okay.
Great. No. I'm not saying that you shouldn't bring it up. I'm saying we haven't talked about it yet today, but you're right. That's one of the other problems going on. McCaffrey hasn't showed up to voluntary workouts, and while one might say it's voluntary, Smitty, he showed up last year. So obviously McCaffrey is a little bit bent out of shape, or he would have showed up. And it's not one of those things, bro, where somebody could say, well, maybe there's more to it. Like he's got some family event or something. And then we hear from Shanahan, oh, it's excused. He had a wedding he had to go to. No, Shanahan was asked about it and he goes, we'll see. He clearly wasn't happy, but he wasn't holding it against him, because he said, look, it's voluntary. We'll see what happens when it's not voluntary. So it wasn't like he said, I've talked to him. He's just going to rest. Older players like to take some time off. He's a veteran. He gets that right. He didn't say anything of the sort. He actually said something that felt very like, holy shit, let's back up. He said, we'll see when it's not voluntary if some of these guys show up. So Christian McCaffrey holdout, it's possible. Like the Niners are in trouble, bro. The Niners are in trouble. They got to pay Brock Purdy. They got to pay Brock Purdy next year. They got to pay Aiyuk now. They've got Debo under contract, and he's getting paid, a significant amount of money. Christian McCaffrey's not showing up. You need all of them to do anything. I don't know what they're going to do. This is why I think it's very possible that a Debo or an Aiyuk trade still happens, because now you've got the Christian McCaffrey element, which is a great thing to bring up because we haven't talked about it yet. But it's trouble in San Francisco, bro.
And that's why I was going to say that since that's a possibility, they got to kind of keep Debo around, because if they, you know how they rush him. If McCaffrey, he was the rusher before McCaffrey, so you kind of want to keep him around until you know what you're going to do with McCaffrey. So I think the odd man out right now would be Aiyuk. And then the other thing I want to say is that, the NFL has a way of resetting these values. I think it kind of got screwed up with Kirk when he got that type of money as wide receiver. But I think just like when Bell in Pittsburgh wanted too much money, and what did they do? I mean, that kind of looked like it reset the whole running back. So now they don't get any money because of Bell. So you got to be careful. You could be that guy where they decide, hey, you know what? We're going to reset the wide receiver market, and it'll be at your expense. So that's what I would say about you. Just be careful that you're not that guy, because it can happen, because they can't keep going up and up and up and up where the prices for wide receivers get too out of control.
Well, they're going to go up. Every year they go up, though. The problem is the salary cap goes up 20% roughly every 2 years. So the price...
No, Smitty, it will go up. I agree with you. What I'm saying is Aiyuk one of those guys? You know what I'm saying? We don't even know if Aiyuk could be a number one wide receiver.
I know. The problem is though he thinks he is, and that's all that matters to him, and that's the problem. That's where the divide is. This is what I've said all offseason long. I've had Niner fans at my neck all offseason long going, this guy's saying Debo's or Aiyuk's going to get traded, or he's going to request a trade. Aiyuk's going to get re-signed. You'll see my team will re-sign him. In every moment that the Niners have sat on their hands, bro, he's gotten more expensive, even if it's just in his own mind. It doesn't matter. If in his mind he's more expensive, he's going to have to fold. And he's only going to fold so far. And if in his mind he's worth St. Brown money now, not A.J. Brown money, but he thinks he's worth St. Brown money, how much do you think he's going to fold downward? Not a whole lot. And the Niners probably want him to come down to Ridley money. I bet you anything the Niners were expecting to pay him $55 million guaranteed max. And now they got to pay him $70 plus guaranteed. So tell me, as a Niner fan, what is the benefit of waiting till June, July, or August to extend a player? No Niner fan has ever been able to give me an answer.
Well, the thing is, they don't have a choice. I mean, the management, like you just said, until they satisfy McCaffrey, they can't get this man a contract. How can they? You can't take that risk, right?
Well, I mean, McCaffrey's 28 years old. Look, I know he deserves more money, because he deserves some sort of 1 year adjusted deal or whatever. You do gotta take care of McCaffrey, but I don't know that they can, bro.
Well, they got me screwed. And guess what? If he holds out and really holds out, I mean, everybody's gonna. Purdy's contract, if he doesn't play well because McCaffrey's out, all of these guys could be affected if McCaffrey don't play, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So all of their numbers might go down.
The other thing, too, though.
All of their values could go down.
The other thing, too, is when you hold out, it doesn't matter if you're training with Hercules. Doesn't matter. Your likelihood of getting injured goes up astronomically. And even if he's staying in shape, even if he's running with chains around his neck, dragging diesel trucks down the road, doesn't matter. He's likely to get hurt by holding out, or likely to have a very, very not in unison type of year like Debo did during his holdout year. Debo was awful that year, and everybody blamed Debo. I don't blame Debo, because Debo was going to get paid regardless, and they made him beg for it. Especially after the year where he played running back for a handful of games, half a season practically, and they made him beg for the money. And then he came with his hat in hand at the end, ended up signing and had a horrible year, and it was the Niners' fault. And if I told the Niners, hey, look, the odds of Aiyuk having a horrible year, if you do decide to pay him, it's not benefiting you. And then a lot of players that hold out, that end up getting hurt, and get a new deal, a lot of the time it gets blamed on, oh, they got paid, so now they don't care. No, a lot of the times it's correlated to the fact that there was a holdout involved before they got paid. So Aiyuk is, look, he's probably very, very angry. And remember when all the Niner guys were laughing at us because we said Aiyuk's mad? They're like, oh, Smitty thinks Aiyuk's mad. Tell me Aiyuk's not mad. You gotta be out of your mind if you truly believe Aiyuk ain't angry right now. Come on.
You know what was funny though? Aiyuk talking about he was talking to Pittsburgh. I said the Steelers aren't paying you anything, bro.
Well, I don't know what we're talking about here, bro. What?
I said Aiyuk was talking to Pittsburgh. I said, now you know that was a joke because Pittsburgh, they're not going to pay a receiver anything. They either draft the receiver or nothing. They never really signed any free agent receivers. So I knew that was a joke.
Bro, that's why I say that this deal getting announced right here on draft day, 12 minutes before the draft, this $84 million guaranteed A.J. Brown deal, absolutely did a suplex on the Niners' hopes and dreams for trading away Aiyuk because of what you just said. Pittsburgh now all of a sudden, to get a trade done, has to work out a back-end deal contract with Aiyuk. And Aiyuk's looking at this A.J. Brown deal going, wait a minute. You know my cookie-cutter contract amount that I'm okay with? Hey, agent, we're going to pull that back. I want a bigger amount of money now. Now all of a sudden Pittsburgh's like, I'm out. So you're right. I mean, that's why Aiyuk didn't get traded on draft day. That's why the Buffalo Bills didn't trade for Debo or Aiyuk. That's why Debo, as I predicted, the moment that news dropped that Debo would be the more likely player to get traded of the two, and those rumors surfaced after the draft everywhere. Oh my God, Debo's more likely to get traded now. Exactly as I predicted on the show 12 minutes before the draft. And it's still difficult to happen. The Buffalo Bills moved back twice when they were on the clock. They moved from 28 down, then they moved into the 2.1 to buy time to maybe work out a Debo or Aiyuk trade throughout the night, walking into day 2 at 2.1. And they didn't get a deal done. They wanted Keon Coleman. Josh Allen wanted Keon Coleman anyway, and so they went with the cheap young rookie they believe could be just as good as Brandon Aiyuk anyway. And that's the way they feel. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. That's the way the Buffalo Bills feel. And I've got a Keon Coleman video dropping very, very soon today. Today I'm doing a wide receiver breakout sleeper video. And Keon Coleman is in one of the top 4 spots. So we'll be talking about that video later. He could be as good as Brandon Aiyuk. So they decided not to go that route. The Niners drafted Ricky Pearsall at the end of round 1 in anticipation that their dropping of the ball wouldn't happen. And now they're stuck in a tough situation.
Yeah, impossible situation the way I can see it.
All right, hey.
It is insane. All right, Smitty.
All right, later, Terrence.
Thanks for having me go, buddy.
All right, James, any final thoughts real quickly? And then I gotta roll out of here.
Nah, I got nothing to say.
All right, call back later. In a few hours, I'll be going live again. All right, later. Travis, any final thoughts? I'll be back in a couple hours to do the wide receiver breakout sleeper video.
No, I'll probably call back in a little later.
All right. Thanks, Travis. Appreciate you, bro. Later.
Bye.
All right. Call your boy Loud. $5 holler. It's crazy the 49ers are willing to break the market with Purdy, and they didn't just bite the bullet early in the offseason with Aiyuk. It's because they're set in their ways of not signing players or extending players until July or August, really. And so they just, no matter what, just stubborn. That's when we do it. Rock out. Thank you for your super chat. James, San Francisco players are simply going for money now because Purdy gets paid next year. Debo, Aiyuk, and CMC should all position for this year, making gains. I mean, yeah, but the problem is, it all affects, next year, so they're not all going to get it. Matt, if I'm the Bills, I go get Debo. I agree. I love Keon Coleman, though. And Hero says, if Aiyuk gets dealt this season, what's Ricky Pearsall's value? His upside is probably like, with one of those guys gone, I would say around the Keon Coleman territory, right? And then we hope for more. But I don't think you want to bank on more. You gotta price it in. Neon Keon says, Kevin, attaboy, $2 hauler. We'll have some sort of animation. Maybe we'll do that. Neon Keon, that's good. Make him in a neon color. Maybe super speedy all over the field. Appreciate you, Kevin, dropping that super chat. All right, I'm out of here. Appreciate you all. Dean says, you are so right. We ain't paying him in Pittsburgh. He got priced out of a trade. The moment that that A.J. Brown deal, that chess move by the Eagles, playing everybody for a fool. Eagles announced that 12 minutes before the draft. Boom, Aiyuk trade, done. Cooked. Put a fork in it. What a chess move by the Eagles, man. Unbelievable. Donnie, thanks. Appreciate you all for being here. I'll see you all later. I'll be back for the wide receiver breakout video. It's going to be a glorious one. I think I have the one of the graphics on screen. Boom! Boom! Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! Pause it! Pause it! There it is! Boom! I'll see you all later. Appreciate you. You know what's so weird is these salute emojis get moderated until we approve them. It's wild, man. Why? Why can't you salute? Like, what's going on with that? Yeah, too much America. Too much American. Moderate that. You can't throw three. Can't sell. Come on. Come on. Later, Coble. It's wild. Someone drop 3 American flags and see if it gets moderated. Oh, Travis, you're a moderator, though. Some non-moderator drop 3 American flags in a row. See what happens. It's too much. Hey, we got to get out of here, bro. Hurry. You got 30 seconds, Josh.
Hey, Smitty, you got in my head, brother. I just made a trade today. I got rid of my guy, Jamar Chase, for your boy Harrison and a 1.
I like that.
I'm kind of having buyer's remorse, man. I know you like it. I picked him because I'm thinking of you the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love Jamar. I love Jamar Chase, but you got a future first rounder and Marvin Harrison Jr. for MHJ. I mean, could it hurt this year? Maybe a little bit, but maybe not. Maybe Harrison Jr. is just as good as Jamar Chase, bro.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, man. A while back, you mentioned this Dallas Cowboy running back, Nathaniel Pete. I've been getting him in my. I see he's getting picked up now in like the last round of best ball drafts. You got any? You excited for him at all?
Pete? Yeah,
Pete?
he's all right. Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he's okay, but like, I mean, how many yards did he have in college? Not a lot.
Yeah, 16.
How many? How many?
Not that many. Not that much.
Look it up. Look it up real quick. See how many yards he had.
I'm right in the middle of it, brother. I just turned on the show.
Okay.
I'll check with you later.
All right. It's it's just like he didn't come with a big resume. All right, later, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah. All right, man. Take care.
All right, out of here.
Hi. What would you like? Footballs, please. Lots of footballs, please. Coming up. He's Marvin, he's 11 feet tall, and he loves to consume the football. He's Kyler, he's 4 feet tall, but Star and Marvin will answer the call. They're Kyler and Marvin.
Part of the Smitty bunch as well. Look at the Smitty bunch. Two families merging. Two glorious families merging to form the Smitty bunch. We got Alice in the middle doing it live.
He's Kyron, he's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyron, he can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
All right, see you all later. Appreciate you all being here. Silver in the building. Silver, do it live. Appreciate you, pal. Travis, thank you. Space Ricky, Sick Nasty. Any of my moderators out there, we still have not found Vampy. I don't know where Vampy's been. Hopefully he's okay. Thank you all for dropping your super chats and your questions and your gifted memberships and such. Rock out with a super, Decker with a super, Call Your Boy Loud with a super, and Kevin with a super. And then celebratory messages, we have none, and gifted memberships. I forget if we had any. I don't think we did on this show, but appreciate everybody. Thank you to all of you for watching, and get ready for the next video today, later today. Probably a little bit, probably a couple hours, be going live on my breakout, about 4 or 5 wide receivers we're going to be talking about. Doing it live. And don't forget, if you want to draft Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty, get 50% of your first deposit matched. So if you deposit 100, they'll give you 50. You deposit 500, they'll give you 250 on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. Do it live.
Get breached.